You're watching the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Salah to settle it in front of the Kop.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. I hope you're doing well. On entry, smash that like button. Let's run them numbers up. Let's subscribe to the channel if we haven't already, as we react to Jurgen Klopp's top quotes from his press conference today ahead of the visit of Nottingham Forest at Anfield, 2 o'clock on Sunday. Looking forward to this game. It's always a big game between these teams historically. Even last season, obviously, we lost there. It was a slim victory at Anfield last season. So I think, considering we scored 5 goals last night as well at home, it's time to net at least 4 or 5 in the Premier League as well. And I'm not having a go at Nottingham Forest. I think they've done really well to stay in the league last year. But let's remember who we've got on the pitch, the quality that we possess, starting and on the bench. I'm going to give you a lineup prediction, score prediction as well, and of course react to those quotes first. Listen, Jurgen Klopp had a press conference last night after the game late. He had another one this morning. So he's been talking to the media a lot in the last 12 to 18 hours. And he's reacting to what was a perfect night, as he said last night at Anfield, a 5-1 win against Toulouse. I thought their fans were unbelievable. I don't know how they got so many fireworks and flares in after Liverpool said no flares. And then they give us a whole firework display. So that was good. But their fans, from what I've seen from the Liverpool Council's Twitter and various other football accounts, that their fans were impeccably observed last night and in the Anfield Road end. I saw fans swapping jackets in the pub after. They had a sign saying, "You'll never drink alone." They're the kind of fans you want to see coming to Anfield. And I was really, really excited to see them enjoy themselves. And listen, hopefully they have a good season. So big respect to Toulouse for last night and how they behaved and everything else. Again, let me know in the comments if you thought similar. Are they maybe the best fans that have come to Anfield in recent times? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, I thought they were fantastic. Another little quote that I found out about last night. Every match day right now that Liverpool don't have that final bit of the Anfield Road stand open, the extra 6,000 seats, apparently it's costing Liverpool £750,000 per match day. So again, you know, financially that's taken a big cut into our pockets, and how does that impact us going into January, going into the summer in terms of a transfer window? Obviously, as fans, we want that open as soon as possible, but it is what it is. You know, it's not exactly ideal, but physically, for health and safety reasons, I don't think it can go any faster than it has currently been going anyway. So let's go to what Jurgen Klopp has said today in his press conference. Shout out to everyone who's locked in. This is the first live press conference reaction video that we've actually done here on the Kop TV. So again, smash them comments, ask me some questions in the chat as well. But let's jump into this one. So Jurgen Klopp in his press conference, there was around about 1:45 today. It was a bit of a lie-in for the boss this morning after I mentioned how late he was working up until last night. But let me give you some of the top lines from his news conference. He said, "Balancing Thursday Europa matches with Sunday Premier League games is not great, but this season is more manageable than recent Champions League campaigns because we don't have too many injuries." Now, touch wood. Everyone around you, touch wood. The last time we were in the Champions League, hella injuries, and the time before that. So yeah, touch wood that Jurgen hasn't jinxed us or anything there. He also added that it means a lot of players who didn't play against Toulouse will start on Sunday. The likes of Virgil, likes of McAllister, Szoboszlai, even Salah came on, didn't he? So that's good. He said the rhythm is the rhythm we have this year, and we should get used to it sooner rather than later. If anything, I think we've already acclimatized to it. I don't think really so far this season I can look at a Sunday game that we've played, maybe a couple, maybe the Brighton game, for instance, but on the general look of things, I don't think we suffer in terms of playing on Thursday and a Sunday. I do think we have acclimatized already. And yeah, as he mentioned, we should get used to it sooner rather than later. These players know the drill, right? They know they've got to play 2 games a week, and I think they know the level that is required. So I don't think it's necessarily a massive issue. The squad that we have, the depth, you saw us bring on Scanlon last night. Luke Chambers as well was getting a shout out. Kelleher back in goal. Good to see him there. Had a slightly shaky game, but It's minutes on the board for him after being out injured. So yeah, I agree. It's almost whoever goes into that spot, the Endos, the Gravenberches, the Jotas, they might not start every single game, but they know their role. They know what they have to do when they come on. And I think everyone's just used to that interchangeable squad now, where you're not necessarily relying on one or two players as we maybe have done in the last year or two. But now we're confidently relying on definitely our goalkeeper, definitely 3 of the 4 defenders in terms of not only just not conceding goals but giving assists as well. Class in the midfield and up front. Obviously Mo scores the most goals, but Nuñez, his assists and goal assists per 90 is unbelievable. Obviously he should have had 2 last night. But yeah, I like the fact that the goals are being shared around. I think we've got 5 goals from our midfield so far this season. Last season, I think at this point we had 1 between Henderson, Milner, Keita, Oxlade, Fabinho and all the rest that were in that totally different midfield. It is totally different now. But yeah, good to see that everyone is kind of acclimatised to that now. Also last night, Mo Salah, as I mentioned, came on with around about 15-20 minutes to go, gets his goal, right foot finish, ends the game as captain, and then with that goal he overtakes Arsenal legend Thierry Henry to become the highest goal scoring Premier League player ever in European competitions. It's unbelievable. Klopp said it was a really good goal. I didn't know about that record. Maybe he could try and break a few more records if I was into that, because maybe I left him out when he could have broken a record, but it was not intentional. We know that Mo can't stand it when he's not playing. We know that even if he does only come on for 15 minutes, he's probably going to get a chance. And the more chances he gets, he will probably score. At the minute, his conversion must be very high. He sits the defender down and slots it, hits the bar and goes down, which I think makes it look a little bit better. But it's a great finish from Mo, and he has overtaken Thierry Henry. I mean, it's an absolute joke that in this time he's done that. You look back at Thierry Henry's Champions League kind of career, got to the final with Arsenal, won it with Barcelona the year after, and I think it's 42 goals that he's scored. Now, let's say on average, if you're a top player in a top league, playing in the top competitions, you can maybe expect to play 100 games in the Champions League. So for Thierry Henry to be getting 42 odd goals, let me just check for you what the kind of numbers to goals were. Sorry, minutes to goal ratios. I'm trying to see how many Champions League appearances Henry has got, because I know he's got the 42 goals. We'll just look that up quickly. If there's any questions for me in the chat, let me know as well. But in the Champions League, if I can see that here, wow, he's played a lot of Champions League campaigns. 141. 141, give or take. There was a few UEFA Cup appearances, a couple of for Monaco and for Arsenal. There's also a couple of Club World Cups and Super Cups. But in the Champions League, you're looking at a good 120 games, and to be coming out with around a 1 in 3 record in that competition is unbelievable. But Mo Salah's just bettered that, which again adds on to the chat and all the plaudits that we give Mo Salah on a daily basis, and he deserves them. I think it's a record for how many records he's broken whilst he's been a Liverpool player, if that even makes sense. I don't think a player has ever come into the club and broken this many records, which in itself is a record. So Mo Salah, the guy, as he always is, the Egyptian king. I know Hassan is a very big fan of his as well, buys a scarf outside the Kop, so we love to see that. But one of the interesting things that Jurgen Klopp said about Mo Salah is his body. Now, that might sound weird on initial kind of hearing, but he said biologically, if we looked at the bones, we would probably see a 19 to 20-year-old person. He said out off the pitch, he's a grown man. Obviously, we know he's 31, 32 at the minute. But if you actually look at his biological age, Klopp's not far off. I reckon it is genuinely, with the way he looks after himself, the way he treats his body, what he puts into his body, the nutrition. We know he doesn't drink as well. Genuinely, this might sound crazy, but his body is probably 10 years younger than what his actual age is. So by that logic, Mo should really be playing in the Premier League until he's about 46, which definitely would be another record that he would break as well. But yeah, I don't disagree with what Klopp has said. I mean, he knows what he's talking about. He sees him in the gym every day, sees that work that he puts in. So yeah, I guess his biological body is, early 20s. And that's why maybe the likes of other legends that have maybe retired a little bit early, I would say Zidane, you look at Ronaldo, Fenomeno, did these guys really and truly, can they say with 100% clarity and confidence that they truly looked after themselves in the way a top elite player should, coming towards the end of their career? Maybe with Zidane it's different, but the likes, there's loads of them. I can name a list, but you've seen them in the past. Does Ronaldo really look back and say, I treated myself like a Mo Salah did? No. And that's why the biological ages are just getting younger and younger for Mo. So shout out to him. A couple of comments in the chat. Yes, AGT. Different technologies nowadays. Right, I won't be reading that one. Shout out to Robin Hood. You've just been put in time out, my friend. Any plans on visiting India, AGT? Says Yash. Why not? I'm never going to say never. I want to go to all the Liverpool supporters clubs all around the world, so why not, man? Big up from California, says Ayo Aaron. Shout out to you, my friend. Records by Mo, says Barry as well. Yeah, and it's got to the stage now where even if he does want to play, you have to kind of fight him off and say, listen, we could start you against Toulouse, but we've got a big game on Sunday. But again, I don't think his body tires necessarily from starting all these games. So may that age stay the same, if not carry on going down, because Mo Salah, he is a scientific marvel, the way he carries on and looks after himself. So really pleased to see that Klopp again is singing his praises. And also with more assists this season, Klopp was asked if Salah is now more of an all-rounder, and he said he is smart enough to adapt to all of these different things. And it is a massive development since he has arrived, but he was always in phases of world class. So we know that Mo has been this way really since he started. Even his first season, he was still getting a decent amount of assists, and that's just carried on. So we love to see it. On Nottingham Forest, and sorry, just before we jump onto the Nottingham Forest one, we want to talk about Klopp's quotes on Darwin Nuñez missing that opportunity. I'll call it an opportunity last night. It was unbelievable the way he's found the ball, first of all, absolutely sits the defender down, feints, goes round the keeper. It's very similar to the Martinelli goal the other day for Arsenal, and then hits the post, which for a lot of Liverpool fans on social media, that was the thing that went viral last night, not necessarily his first goal or his overall play in the game. But yeah, it's typical. I don't want to say it's typical Nuñez, because he did score, he did assist as well, so let's not forget that. But it is in the sense that it's just pure chaos. I mean, how can you go around the goalkeeper? The screenshot of when he's gone around the goalkeeper before he's hit the post, if someone told you that he would end up with an assist from that screenshot, you wouldn't have believed them. There's just no way. So, yeah, I mean, how he didn't score that, I'm not too sure. But it doesn't matter to Jurgen Klopp. He said that he doesn't care about the miss, and he also needs to ensure that each day in training, which he sees, that Nuñez carries on what he's already got at the minute, which is that confidence, which is that kind of directness that we've been missing in that number 9 position. But it's good to know that, the whole team, and did you see the reaction to when Gravenberch actually scored? The whole reaction was obviously to congratulate him, but also to give Darwin a tap on the shoulder and say, look, man, it's not the end of the world. You did miss that, which was a howler. I'm not going to lie to you. It was an open goal at the Kop end. But it doesn't affect his confidence. And already he tweeted this morning something along the lines of, I'm going to carry on improving every single day to play for Liverpool. You know how these kind of fairly generic tweets come out. I'm going to read it out to you now, actually, because I think it is important that we actually don't misquote him here. But he gets his goal. Again, he adds to that really impressive goal and assist record. He tweeted this morning, "Keep going." That's his famous celebration to the Klopp, to the Kop these days. But yeah, he's full of confidence, and I think all the players around him are just willing. He might have deleted that tweet, to be fair, but he's just willing every single time. I mean, how often do you get a bunch of fans screaming "Nuñez, Nuñez" after he's just missed an open goal and hit the post? Yes, he got the assist, but realistically, there's just no fan base that loves these kind of players more than Liverpool. You've seen it with Suarez in the past, you've seen it with Bobby, and now we've got it with Darwin. It's almost as if he can do no wrong in the eyes of Liverpool fans. So yeah, he was speaking about him last night, and it's good to see that he took the question fairly lightly and moved on. But yeah, Darwin Nuñez, we are definitely seeing more than what we saw last season, and that only is going this way. It's only going up. So yeah, massive fan of Darwin Nuñez, and I just love him, to be honest. Speaking of another guy that I love, Divock Origi comes back to Anfield on Sunday for Nottingham Forest. Let's not actually forget that also Nico Williams is coming back to Liverpool on Sunday as a Forest player, and maybe Taiwo Awoniyi as well. So we could have 3 ex-Reds coming back to Anfield on Sunday. Jurgen Klopp said that hopefully Divock travels so that he can say hi. As we all know, Divock Origi is just an absolute legend at Liverpool Football Club, always will be. But yeah, it'd be really nice to see what kind of reception he gets. He said, whatever happens, they will stay in the game about Forest. And in one moment they can punish you and score. We will be ready because it's a tough one. He hopes that Divock Origi will return from a hip injury to a feature against his former side. He says, not for the game, but for the occasion Divock Origi will be in the squad. I hope he's fit so the people can give him a little hello. He would definitely deserve that. And in Divock Origi's last game for Anfield, he got the on-pitch kind of farewell, which I think was received excellently. I made a little joke in DR Sports yesterday to say that, we would hopefully be winning 4-0 last minute of the game. Divock nets a little consolation and we give him a round of applause. But looking back on it, I want the clean sheet. There's no room for sentimentalness. What I said yesterday is not what I'm saying today. I've changed, which is how you grow in life. But if he did score, I mean, obviously he wouldn't get booed or anything like that. I don't think he would celebrate. He wasn't the best celebrator at Liverpool, to be fair. He never really had like a routine celebration. It was just kind of give it one of them and that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he gets on. As we all know, he's one of the most famous cult heroes in Liverpool's history, so it'd be really good to see him coming back, as well as Nico Williams, who was again a Premier League winner with Liverpool, and Taiwo, who's really actually proved, maybe not Klopp, but definitely Liverpool in general, how good he can be. I think he scored for 8 games in a row for Forest. So yeah, obviously, him coming back to Anfield is something that we've got to be careful about as well. He is currently suffering with a hip injury, so hopefully for him he gets through that and plays. But Chris Wood has also been scoring goals for Forest as well. So that's the kind of the old school player that you don't really like playing against. Don't forget last season Forest scored 2, should have really scored 3 at Anfield as well. So as much as we're all predicting a win, there are still massive areas of concern, especially set pieces as well, where they've got a lot of tall lads, very physical team, Forest, and unless we really suffocate them, force them into mistakes in the first 15, 20, 25 minutes, it could be a fairly long afternoon, just like it was against them last year, and we lost to them last year away as well, and Awoniyi scored that goal as well. So there's a few things that we need to make sure we don't do. What did you guys make of the Dominic Szoboszlai chat with BBC, where he said Liverpool can achieve everything this season, and he also, with the key quote that came out of it, was who cares about second place? That kind of just shows his winner's mentality. He was asked Premier League, Champions League. Sorry, we're not in the Champions League. How dare I? Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup and Europa League. He said, why not go and try and win all of them? I don't think that's anything to maybe mock him about, because he's right. If you don't have that kind of mentality going into every single competition, then what is the point in being in it? Nobody does care about second place. So if he's that kind of mentally strong and focused at 22, just imagine what we could unleash in the next few years with Dominic Szoboszlai. Shout out to Redbird D9 who says Darwin didn't miss. He wanted to help Ryan get his first goal. That was actually his third goal for Liverpool last night, Ryan Gravenberch. So yeah, good to see him not finally, but really showing us what we've been missing. If anything, the way he plays, it does remind me of a slightly taller, maybe, Gini Wijnaldum in terms of his ball retention, how he's really quick with his feet, how across 10 to 15 metres he's rapid, his acceleration is really good. So I'm loving everything I've seen of Ryan Gravenberch last night, and even on the fan cams last night, Mario and all the guys were saying that Ryan was man of the match. So big up to him. Gets his brace at Anfield. Could have had a hat-trick last night as well, by the way. Afternoon, Alex. Hope you are good. If I think that was bad, go and watch Rosenthal's miss for us v Villa in the 90s. I remember that. 92, the green and white kit. Ronnie Rosenthal goes round the keeper. About 8 yards out, left foot hits the bar. Or does it just go straight over? I think it does go straight over. But that was always in like the Nick Hancock video of Premier League blunders. You know, those kind of DVDs you used to get in the mid-noughties where a comedian or whatever would just pile up a loads of big misses and faux pas in football. That was always on there. So yeah, Ronnie Rosenthal, horrendous miss. But Darwin's was up there. Maybe with the Torres miss against Chelsea. To be fair, Darwin did hit the post and it ended up in an assist, so it's not as good as the Torres one because he just missed the target. But yeah, pretty poor. Right, let's get into the lineup prediction. I want your help in the chat. Remember, if you're just joining us, please like the video, comment, and then subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. T-Boy's asking, would you still start Nuñez versus Forest? I would. And I'll get into my lineup prediction now. So it will be Alisson in goal after a nice little rest last night. Again, Kelleher slightly nervous maybe at times last night. I think his passing maybe let him down for the goal. He could have done better as well. Kind of just went through his body. And I've never really had to criticise anything that Kelleher has done for Liverpool so far. It's rare that he makes any mistakes because normally when we talk about him playing for Liverpool, he's winning us a penalty shootout or he's scoring as a keeper in a penalty shootout. There's not really been any bad words said about him. I think maybe up until Raya joined Arsenal, I would have had him down as maybe the best number 2 in the league. So a couple of nervy moments for him last night, but Alisson will be back. Speaking of Alisson, by the way, he's just signed a goalkeeping glove deal with a company that's been around for ages. I'm just struggling to actually pronounce their name. They're called Reusch, R-E-U-S-C-H. You've heard of them, but naturally, with him being a Nike athlete, obviously his boots are Nike, his country with Brazil is Nike, his club is Liverpool and that's Nike. He is now part of the Reusch family for goalkeepers, and the gloves are red, so that's good. So big up to him, you know, hopefully that... I've just seen another save that he did against West Ham. It doesn't matter what gloves this fella is wearing. Give him no gloves and he'll still pull out wonder saves. So, of course, he is back in goal for us on Sunday, as he is in every single Premier League game. Right back, I think Trent was excellent last night, was the captain. Cleared one off the line as well, which almost defied logic, really, in terms of how he managed to keep that off the line. The player, to be fair to Trent, did just hit it straight at Trent. But Trent did very well to kind of be in that position. He said he practiced that kind of stuff in training as well. So Trent, as T-Boys TV says, clearance off the line was absolutely class. Remember to get your lineup predictions with me. Join me in the chat and do that right now. We've got a couple I'll read out. But yeah, Trent will be at right back. It will probably be Virgil and Konate. Again, I thought the defence wasn't tip-top last night, but it didn't really need to be. Left back, of course, Tsimikas. Really nice to see Luke Chambers come on. Had a good game when he did. When he started, didn't he? So Tsimikas, a nice little break for him. Klopp kind of alluded to Luke Chambers being involved a couple of weeks ago in his press conference when Andy Robertson got it finally injured and we knew the extent of how long that recovery road would be. We still don't really know, but we can assume it's 2 to 3 months from now that we'll see Andy Robbo again, which is a massive shame, obviously. But there is a 2-week winter break in January from the 14th to the 29th. So again, if any injuries are occurring, that gives them a good period to come back and be in the business end of the season. fit and strong, so hopefully Robbo is that. Left back will be Tsimikas. In the midfield, now Endo I thought was unbelievable last night. It's a real toss-up maybe between him and Gravenberch for man of the match. His pass accuracy was well in the 90%. So he didn't lose the ball and he scored his goal. So I thought Endo all round was excellent last night. But the big question remains. He can have these cameos, he can score his first goal, but when is he going to be trusted to start in a Premier League game for Liverpool? That's the main question I've got when it comes to that boy, because he's got, for his position, he's got it all in terms of legs, aggressiveness, leadership. He's the captain of Japan. It was a great header last night, and it's one of those headers that when it goes in, you think, yeah, fair enough, it's a standard cross and a head in. But watch it back, because that ball is coming in with pace from Trent. It's not even that far away, the cross. It's probably only a 15-yard cross, but it's whipped into him, and he uses the spin to kind of direct it back the other way, right in the far corner. And it's rare that you see a central defensive midfielder score a header like that. But I was buzzing for him. Gets his first goal. I was actually with Robbie last night at an event, and I said he was the Japanese Rodri. So we'll see if that one comes good as well. But I'm loving everything that I've seen of him so far. So shout out to Endo. But this is the question that I come back to. And I'm asking you in the comments right now, do you start him? Do you start Endo on Saturday? Because we've seen the results of McAllister starting as a 6. I'm not saying he's played bad, but we'd like to see more of him in a creative role, which maybe means trusting Endo for this weekend and putting him maybe in that left central midfield position just ahead in the 4-3-3 with Szoboszlai, obviously, who did again get that nice rest last night. A few people in the comments already saying Endo should start on Sunday, but Trudon says McAllister will start over Endo. I think Liverpool fans are maybe a tiny bit frustrated when it comes to playing McAllister in the 6. I wouldn't say obviously whatever team Klopp puts out, we trust. If McAllister is suited in that number 6 position, play him there. But over the evidence of the sample size that we've seen, which is probably 6 to 8 weeks now of McAllister playing in that 8, when Endo performs like that last night, I would start Endo. So guess what, guys? I'm starting Endo. My lineup prediction, I've answered my own question. I'd love to see McAllister just a little bit more licensed to go and zip it out to Diaz or look for the diag to Salah or try and slip it in behind to Nuñez, as he did for that amazing assist against, I think it was West Ham, over Nuñez's shoulder, the volley. I'd like to see a little bit more of that and let Endo do the kind of dirty work at the back. I don't think that would necessarily be, an insult to McAllister. It's just saying, go on, man, be a bit more creative, use your vision a little bit more. You don't have to be so dogged. Don't get me wrong, that is still a big part of his game, kind of getting stuck into the opposition, making sure they know that he's there, doesn't give them any space. But I feel like when he's got his back to goal, running back to our goal, maybe he's not the quickest to get across the ground. So me personally, it goes Endo, it goes Szoboszlai and McAllister. Is that harsh on Gravenberch? Let me know. Again, 2 goals last night. How can you drop him? But again, from what I saw in the derby, he had a good game in the number 6. So it's actually a bit of a toss-up between Gravenberch and Endo. The likes of Curtis Jones will be back for this one. The likes of Harvey Elliott still not getting as many minutes as he's probably, as he probably wants. Again, that's another question that we can, debate for a good half an hour probably. What's the future of those 2 guys? But right now, knowing that we've got the Europa League still, we've got a League Cup game next week, these guys are all going to get minutes, but is it enough minutes to satisfy them? That's the key question. But that's my midfield. I might be wrong. Probably will be. Knowing Klopp, he always throws in a curveball. But for me personally, it's a toss-up. I said Endo, but now I might change my mind again. It's a toss-up. Who's got a coin? Right, we'll throw this thing up. If it lands that way, it's Endo. If it lands that way, it's Gravenberch. It's up. So it's Endo. So we'll go for Endo, but I think maybe a little bit harsh on Gravenberch. But again, with Bournemouth in the League Cup on Wednesday, there's definitely an opportunity for all of these guys to get minutes. So for me personally, Endo, McAllister and Szoboszlai. Let me know if you agree with that one in the comments. And then up front, Mo Salah, Darwin Nuñez must start for me, and Luis Diaz gets another start. Having said that, fantastic goal last night from Diogo Jota. He must really be not frustrated, but kind of up for it. Whenever he starts a game for Liverpool, he knows he has to score to kind of stay in contention. Now, obviously, Nuñez did score again last night. Gakpo's coming back from injury, so he'll be involved at some point. But if you start Nuñez, and again, we've seen how good Nuñez can be when he comes off the bench and he doesn't start. But if you start Nuñez at home, set the tempo, set the pace, you want chaos, you want runs in behind, you want defenders making kind of last-ditch tackles with his pace. It's blistering, as we saw last night again. And against Everton, we saw that almost run the whole pitch. So I think we've maybe a little bit moved on from Gakpo starting in the number 9. Again, it wouldn't surprise me across the season if we come back to it the odd game or two. But for me, Sunday, I'd love to see Nuñez starting in that number 9 position with Mo Salah on the right, Luis Diaz on the left, and then look at the bench. This is really when a game like a Forest at home, you can really see the benefit of the bench. As I mentioned, you're going to have the likes of Kelleher on the bench, Tsimikas will play, so the Luke Chambers of the world will be on the bench, but also the Jotas, the Gakpos, the Elliots, the Joneses. Again, we still haven't even got Bajcetic and Thiago back in the squad yet, so massive strength in depth. We can chop and change, and obviously Gravenberch or Endo, one of them will start, I'm assuming. So even if they don't start, one of them will be on the bench and vice versa. So the depth there is brilliant. As I mentioned right at the top of the video, Klopp said we found it easier to deal with the kind of scheduling of games this season, because of the fact that there have been a lot of less injuries than we've had in the past. But as we know, still currently Robertson, Bajcetic, Doak and Thiago all still out at the minute, so hopefully they get back as soon as possible. Shout out to Stephen Somerville with the super chat. He says, well, Alex, it was good appearing last night on the fan cams, and hopefully come on more and do a few more next time I come over. Mario is a legend as well. Shout out to Stephen, man, because I remember a lot of super chats that Stephen has sent in the past, and you know what, it's a massive shame I wasn't at the game last night to meet you in person. But when I saw you on Mario's fan cams last night, I did smile, because it's great to see. And obviously, Mario is a certified legend. Let's have it right. All around the world, I'm getting messages, DMs on Instagram, TikTok DMs, Twitter DMs saying, I've just seen Mario here, I've just seen Mario on this, I've just seen him on that. Which is great. It's free promo, because people see it and go, oh, look, there's De Zerbi. And then someone will always comment right under that, saying, no, it's Mario from the Kop TV, actually. Get it right. So, Mario is a proper G, as we all know. Big up to Stephen for that one. Tafsir says, I don't count the Nuñez miss. It was an assist. Shout out to you. T-Boy wants Endo to start on Saturday. Trudon saying McAllister will start over Endo. And Trudon also says McAllister, Szoboszlai and Gravenberch is the Premier League midfield. Interesting. But again, that comes back to the question, what more does Endo have to do to get some starting minutes, at least in the Premier League? Kid Thrills is 11, is Alisson, Trent, Virgil, Konate, Tsimikas, Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Diaz, Nuñez, Salah, but DM Gakpo for Nuñez, even though he just came off an injury. Rotate both Maka and Endo for the second time. Maybe Maka doesn't start in this game. Maybe you can bring in a Harvey Elliott or a Curtis Jones from the beginning. Vase of Flowers says, it's nice that we're having this conversation. Having opinions or options, is great. LFC all day and all night. Pace, and more pace. Please, Diaz, Nuñez, Salah is pure pace, ace pace in space. In Gary Neville's face is what Vase of Flowers. You're rhyming, mate. You're a poet and you didn't even know it. Darwin, I don't score easy goals. I only score bangers, says Honesty Artensia. And can you believe this? I found out yesterday, and Ant Dicko has just reminded me of it, which has made me angry even more. But 12:30, again, another kickoff just after midday. This one is in December at Palace. He's saying it's deliberate now. So that would be after the Man City one in November. That would genuinely be 15, and the next nearest is 6. It's got to the point now where should we actually take this as a compliment? You know, everyone wants to watch us, so the TV companies are putting us on early. That's one way to look at it. Me personally, I'd much rather play, if we're playing on Thursdays, I'd much rather play on a Sunday. There will be some weeks where there aren't European games, but for me, come on, man, stop deliberately putting us on 12:30. It's becoming a bit of a disgrace now, if I'm honest. Right, score predictions time. my favourite part of the show, where I predict how many goals we're going to score. Again, obviously everyone in the comments, including myself, is going for a Liverpool win. That's no surprise. But as I've seen last season, they scored 3 goals against us last season. We scored 3 against them. So they can score. Our clean sheets have not been great this season, as we know. But I'm going to go 3-0 Liverpool. It might contradict a few of the things I've said earlier in terms of, you know, how a little bit leaky the defence has been. But a clean sheet in the last game, there's your line in the sand. There's your foundation to build on. Now go and prove to us that this isn't, not that clean sheets are a fluke for Liverpool, but, you know, this season we've been lucky enough to score more goals than concede. So, yeah, I'm going for a clean sheet, a 3-0 win. I'd be absolutely over the moon with that. Of course, I'd take a 2-1. Of course, I'd take another 3-2. But Forest do have threats. They've got Morgan Gibbs-White, who I remember had a great game at Anfield and scored last season. The likes of Awoniyi, the likes of Sarr, they've still got him. Sorry, Emmanuel Dennis. They've still got Origi, as we know. Chris Wood has scored 2 in the last game against Luton. So, yeah, there's a small part of me that does think they will score, but because we got a clean sheet against Everton, I'm sticking for another clean sheet. As I said, there's your foundation. Go and build on that. Let's try and get a few clean sheets in a row, because if I'm really honest with you, the fixture list is looking fairly kind to us in the next few weeks. It could come back to bite me, as it did last season, but there you go. Trent, Konate, Van Dijk and Kostas is the defence for the Vase of Flowers. And Dicko has gone 4-2. Who's scoring their 2 goals though, Ant? Because if we're conceding 2 again, it's a little bit of a worry at that stage. But maybe it's more hope rather than realism, but I am going for a 3-0 win. And I didn't forget Lord Origi, Honesty Hortensio. Of course, I could never forget that, man. So, right, just to round it off for you, Jurgen Klopp's quotes today were the fact that he didn't care about the Darwin Nuñez miss last night. He also said Mo's body is only biologically 19 or 20 years old. He also spoke about how brilliant Gravenberch was last night. He also spoke about looking forward to seeing Divock Origi on Sunday. Of course, Nico Williams and Taiwo are also going to be back at Anfield as well. So yeah, really looking forward to this game. And then again, next week, a tough away trip to Bournemouth in the Cup. Will they have a new manager? If they lose this weekend, it probably looks like they will sack Iriola. So that's a whole different preview that we'll do on Monday. But until then, thank you for joining us. Remember, do smash that like button. It really, 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 really does help, more than you can believe. So please do it. Comment with your score predictions, your lineup predictions, your thoughts on what Jurgen Klopp has said in the press conference today. And then subscribe to the channel. As always, if you haven't already, let's get to 40k as soon as possible. But until Sunday, we'll see you then. Take care. All the best.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Please, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Kop TV.
The voice of football's most famous stand.